Hello everyone. I think I've gone live. By now I'm guessing most of you know who I am, but if you don't, my name's Elizabeth Rimmer and I'm an advanced nurse practitioner. I have spent most of my nursing career working in general practice, and that's being fastly followed up with what I do now, which is aesthetics. And I have a clinic in central London. We're in our 5th year there. I've been in aesthetics for 10 years. And yeah, that's me. We are on our 2nd week of lockdown, and it's already starting to feel like quite a lot longer than that, isn't it? In fact, I was surprised when they said that the other day on the TV. I was like, what? It's been longer than that? Yes, here I am again. So every week, I've got to be honest, I ask myself what I'm going to talk to you about. And it's not that I set all this up without a plan and I haven't got a clue and I don't know. But obviously, for obvious reasons, the whole world just seems very different right now, doesn't it? So yeah, everything is not as it was, you know, with the COVID-19 situation that we've got going on worldwide. And yeah, we're getting deeper into that. It's certainly starting again to feel like it's becoming more real. Obviously, those who are dealing with patients firsthand will have felt that it's been real for a long time. Those of us that aren't, I think more of us are starting to hear about family members of friends. Certainly somebody that I know, mother died recently, and I'm hearing more and more of that. One of the members on here I was speaking to just yesterday, she is a matron for one of the big London hospitals, and was, you know, telling me that things were pretty difficult on the wards. I think, you know, morale is not at its best. I mean, you know, the NHS being what it is, but especially at the moment. So it feels like, you know, it's starting to kind of make more impact for all of us, and hit a bit harder home for all of us. And, you know, as I've said before, we're such a mixed group on here of nurses, and we have different concerns and different positions, and, you know, some of us are literally dealing with you know, going out there on the front line and dealing with patients and relatives, and being asked to work in areas that perhaps we don't normally work in, hours that perhaps we don't normally work. Others of us are struggling with how to kind of, you know, keep our businesses going over this time period, worrying about how we're going to pay for, you know, contracts that we are signed into. And then everybody else has, you know, the same kind of worries with regards to just the stresses and strains of keeping family and personal life going. So it's you know, it's a very, very testing time for us all. So yeah, you know, with that in mind, I kind of, as I said, I asked myself, what is the right thing to talk about when I come on here with you lot at the moment? Is it that we stick with talking about corona and the effects of that, or is it that we kind of want to talk about something different, excuse me, and we want to, you know, have a slightly different focus and move away from, you know, the constant corona updates, and the you know, the drainingness, is that a word, that's having on all of us. So I racked my brains for this one, and I thought to myself, what would a nurse think? What should a nurse think? How should a nurse think to go about this? And you'll never guess what popped into my head. But It was the thing that popped into my head was Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So no, I'm not kidding, and I know you know what I'm talking about out there. Something all of us learn in nursing school, and thought, what the hell's the point of this? A bit like when you learn algebra, when am I ever going to use this in the real world, in real life? But here we are actually in a situation where it suddenly has become quite relevant and quite poignant. If you are out there, please just make sure that you do give me a wave or a thumbs up or something so that I know you're there. So now I'm going to try and see if this works, but switch over to another screen. Yay, you've done it. Okay, so for those of you that are pretending to not remember, this is what we're looking at here. So this is taking us back, way back to nursing school. But it popped into my head and I started looking at it and I realised that it's actually really relevant to where we are at the moment. So if you remember this, that's me sticking out the back there, sorry. So we've got this kind of pyramid, upside down triangle, whatever you want to call it. And at the bottom we've got, these are kind of these are Maslow's kind of fundamentals for living, fundamentals for life. So we've got physiological needs, big one at the bottom. We've then got safety needs above that, belonging and love, esteem and self-actualization. So I think until very recently, most of us were kind of really had all of these covered and we were kind of hovering around the top two in the pyramid there. Physiological needs, I would say that probably most of us in normal life take that one for granted in the situations that we're in, being that we're generally people that have jobs, have homes, have families to a degree, whatever degree that is. Physiological needs are your food, water, warmth and rest. So I think we've all probably taken that one fairly for granted for forever. Moving up, we then have the safety needs, which safety and security, which again, I would say probably most of us take for granted on the whole. Depends how you see safety and security. You might, sometimes feel that can be threatened if you're out and about, or you read something scary in the news or whatever. But generally speaking, I'd say those boxes are fairly well ticked. Belongingness and love is just the fundamental need for relationships and friends, that kind of thing. And again, I think for most of us, again, that's something we take for granted. We can kind of move about as we like, see people as we like, no restrictions on that. So yeah, I think for most of us that one's pretty much, again, something that we don't probably give that much thought to on a normal day-to-day basis. Then we've got self-esteem. Self-esteem is covers things like feeling accomplished and just feeling of achievement, that kind of thing. So that one is probably where we start getting on slightly more shaky ground on a day-to-day basis, and something that probably some days we feel more aware of than others, but probably, as I say, up and down with where we are with that one on a day-to-day. And then self-actualization is around really achieving your full potential and creativeness and all of that kind of thing. So that is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for those of you out there who've forgotten that. And as I said, I feel like probably we're fairly stable on that whole pyramid, and we probably have been fairly stable on that our whole lives, until now, of course. And we just start at the top end. I would say self-actualization kind of depends what camp you fall in, I suppose. For I think for those who are kind of dealing with the frontline nursing during COVID-19, it's probably pretty much out of the window, that one. Really just in survival mode, going to work, coming home feeling shattered, just trying to keep things together. And those who have businesses and are actually finding themselves at home a lot, they actually might be able to put a fair bit of time into this one at the moment. There's so much kind of online courses, that kind of thing out there. So I think it really depends what kind of bracket you fall into on that one. Also, I think it's really early days still. I think there's still a period of adjustment going on where we haven't quite got our minds in the right mindset. I mean, I don't know whether we ever will. It's such a strange time, but it's certainly a period of adjustment because our lives have changed so incredibly. Esteem needs, feelings of accomplishment. I think across the board we could probably pretty much agree that we are not perhaps achieving this as much as we would like to in a normal life at the moment. Again, for those who are working face to face with patients, there's always going to be feelings of not offering enough, not being able to do enough. No matter how much we give, it never feels enough. So I think it's very difficult to feel accomplished, and even though arguably you should feel accomplished. And for those of us that are at home, working out businesses, working out how to continue, and working out whether we're going to survive this, again, feelings of accomplishment are very, very low down, non-existent. Belongingness and love needs, again, the whole way that we interact has completely changed. We are really lucky to have social media, and I know lots of people are using the various different apps to be able to kind of communicate with people via video rather than just calls. Again, it's a really difficult one if you do live alone. I bumped into somebody yesterday that I know that lives on his own and was really struggling with that. Normally a really, really active person, a really vibrant, fun person, and suddenly, it's a very lonely place being in a flat on your own. But just the way that we kind of express love and all of that kind of stuff is different, obviously with social distancing. So that one's taking a real hit, not perhaps being able to see our parents, our grandparents. We're told we are not supposed to be travelling at all, are we, unless it's to essential workplaces and to get shopping. So that one is really being chipped away at. Safety and security needs. Again, I think all of us have an anxiety around this at the moment. Again, much more than we would normally have in life. Managing our anxiety around if we're going to catch the virus, if we're going to pass it on to our family and friends, if we're going to be an unlucky one who it becomes very unwell from it, if we're going to cope with it okay, when it's going to affect someone in our own families. So again, these are thoughts that a month ago would have been just absurd for most of us, and now they are a reality. And then again, moving down to physiological needs, and even this one at the base of the pyramid, the largest section, is affected because we've seen all the horrible panic buying. Well, that's related around people's anxiety about being able to get access to food, to get access to water. We've had as a society to have to look at the way that we treat our homeless people, and realise that in a time like this that's wholly inadequate. So pretty much every single part of that pyramid has been blown apart by the coronavirus, which